Houston, Texas, a town rich in pro wrestling history, is also rich in its sports history. Home of the Love Ya Blue Houston Oilers that once ran the AFC Central is now the home of the Houston Texans of the National Football League. Home to Akeem Olajuwon and the two-time NBA champion Houston Rockets. And home to the World Series champion Houston Astros. Hopefully this Sunday's Royal Rumble, no signs will get stolen. Too soon? Too soon on that joke? Oh, I apologize. But this Sunday, there will be no signs stolen because it's everybody for themselves with the Royal Rumble. This week, we preview the Royal Rumble event and everything else in the world of wrestling. This is the preview show, and it begins now. Hello, everybody, and welcome to That Wrestling Show, the podcast where all pro wrestling matters, and this is it. Royal Rumble weekend has arrived, and for this one, we have to make it big. Joining me back from his week-long vacation is Fro. How you doing, Fro?
I'm doing good. I'm here with Elmo, of course.
Oh yeah.
I listened to the show.
Elmo, I was very disappointed that he could not be on the show last week.
Yeah, so he's here with me. Yeah,
right.
We'll talk. We'll ask him who he thinks wins the Royal Rumble later.
Yeah. And also joining us, usually he joins us for our WrestleMania show, which he still will, but today he's joining us for the Royal Rumble episode. Let's welcome back Jason Burke.
Oh, That Wrestling Show! Don't you dare be sour. So turn up your volumes and give us the hour. I'm the Macho to Bills Hogan. Call us the Mega Powers. And unlike the Royal Rumble, this show won't be 7 hours. That us fans are like Bray Wyatt, fiending for some wrestling. The crowds are going crazy, like Antonio Brown's arresting. AEW's like Obama. The revolution, yes we can. And after we impeach Trump, can we impeach Vince McMahon? What's going on, guys?
Oh, man.
People are going to be so pissed.
You know what the best part is we do have a Vince McMahon story this week, so maybe we could impeach him. So besides the Royal Rumble this Sunday, we're also going to preview Worlds Collide with NXT and NXT UK. Plus, we're also going to preview NWA Hard Times because tonight is when the show, or Friday is when the show takes place. And they will crown...
I'm super excited for this show.
They will crown a new NWA television champion by the end of the night. So we'll make our picks for that and so much more. It's really
It's going to be Pickabalooza? Pickabalooza, yeah.
Pickabalooza, yeah. Very well could be.
Yeah, Pickabalooza.
This is a little bit of a slow news week, probably because we're all getting ready for the Royal Rumble.
Yeah, and people are like, no, we shouldn't be arrested just before the Royal Rumble, so we have absolutely nothing to talk about other than Impact being extremely weird.
Oh yeah, we'll bring that up as well. But let's begin with a very interesting opening topic for this show. Blue Demon Jr. Yes, we're starting with Blue Demon Jr. This is the only time we're ever going to start a show with Blue Demon Jr. But anyway, the reason he's being brought up is he is going to appear on a new Disney Channel series.
Oh, no.
Now, according to Deadline, Disney Channel has ordered a cast contingent pilot entitled Ultraviolet and Blue Demon. The concept of the show would see Blue Demon play a superhero, but would focus on his 13-year-old niece, Violet, who is chosen by a magical mask to be his successor. The pilot is a cast contingent, meaning it all depends on whether they can find the proper female lead to play Violet alongside Blue Demon Jr. Casting is underway in Los Angeles and Mexico. If the role is cast, shooting would begin in a few months. So,
See, I actually thought that Blue Demon was kind of miscast here. I thought that Blue Demon should star in the Happy Days remake because he comes from AAA.
oh god.
Hey! Hey!
Good. I got to make up for all the bad possible puns I could possibly make here. I haven't seen you guys since April, so.
Oh, you're currently doing a great job on that.
I'm trying.
Yeah, you very good. Yeah.
Doing a great job.
No, but honestly, I mean, it's Blue Demon obviously is a Mexican legend. I mean, he was last seen, at least in my public eye, in terms of Lucha Underground and being part of that product. And he's one of the long-standing royalties of Lucha Libre, and it's pretty exciting. I mean, you don't often see wrestlers for stuff like this. I mean, if anything, now it's The Rock and Batista doing stuff in Hollywood and stuff like that. So it's nice to see somebody who maybe not necessarily is that known in the American public eye suddenly on Disney Channel. It's definitely a culture clash, but I'm enjoying the idea of seeing something like this, and I'm kind of curious as to how it's going to go.
It's just extremely weird. It's I mean, the pick itself, it's like out of nowhere. Like, why Disney? Why Blue Demon? I don't see any connection there. Is there any connection here that I'm not aware of?
Not that I know of.
No, I don't think so.
So it's just extremely weird.
If it does happen, I think I'll give the first episode a shot.
I mean, one of the unsung heroes of Disney Plus, and I will say that The World According to Jeff Goldblum is one of the best shows on Disney Plus. I love that show because that man is totally weird and he goes with it. If you have Disney Plus and haven't seen The World According to Jeff Goldblum, see it. It's really, really, really fun, especially this episode on ice cream.
Ooh, I like ice cream.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, me too.
I wonder, is this going to be a Disney Plus show or a regular Disney Channel show? Is there anything?
From what I read, right now it seems to be a regular Disney Channel show.
So it will be both places.
Eventually, yeah.
Yeah, and then I also have to wonder that if Blue Demon's in it, if they're going to do any kind of wrestling stuff, because usually whenever a mentor is training a protege, they tend to have some wrestling scenes, so I wonder if they're going to cast any other wrestlers involved in it.
That is so funny that you say that, because I heard some very, very stupid rumors this week, Jason, that Disney Plus was thinking of making a Saturday Slam kind of wrestling show. So
no,
who knows?
No, not that again.
Saturday Slam.
At this point, I've got to say, there's not enough wrestling on TV for us. I feel bad for us because we really like.
Yeah. There's nothing on TV on wrestling. Not at all.
I'd only watch it if Daniel Bryan was commentating and he talked about bears.
Like the last time.
Yes.
Oh, that was such a fun thing. Oh, I miss Saturday Slam.
All right. To keep going on we don't have much news to talk about. Eva Marie is in the news.
Oh, no. What has she done now? Has she catch chlamydia or what?
No. Oh, wow.
Yes, I went there.
She doesn't have the coronavirus. Thank you. Which I think was given by Tony Romo for doing those Corona commercials, but that's... So anyway, she was going to board a flight on an airline that I've never heard of in my life. And she claimed sexism on the airline.
Of course she did.
Let me read you her tweet.
Oh, no.
In 2020, Qantas, Qantas, that's the name of the airline, Melbourne, won't allow a woman holding a business class ticket to enter their business class lounge in active wear. My business is fitness and an active lifestyle. Qantas prefers their women in a dress. Hashtag gender discrimination, hashtag Qantas.
I can tell you why. Because they are a Saudi Arabian airline. That's why.
And then she posted a clarification. This is not a dress code issue. I support a business's right to enforce equitable dress code standards. However, my husband was allowed in no problem wearing this, while I was kicked out wearing this. My issue is that standards should be equitably enforced. And all she's wearing is like warm-up pants and like a warm-up shirt. And her husband was wearing shorts.
Right.
It's not.
But like I said, it is the airline company's policy, because this has been a problem before. They are a Saudi Arabian airline that has their roots in Saudi Arabia, so it's very clear on their web pages how kind of dress they are allowing or not. I'm not saying they are right doing this. I'm just clarifying that it is somewhat clear that this company has done things like this before.
Mm-hmm.
I just personally believe that Qantas should be Blue Demon Jr.'s partner on the Disney Channel.
That would be fun.
I could pay. I could watch that show.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I mean, to I guess kind of be serious if I have to be. I don't know. We've heard things before with Saudi Arabia, not wanting to have the women wrestle and then wanting to have their women all be in very constrictive clothing and stuff like that to avoid sexuality or any kind of gender reveal kind of thing. So, I mean, this sounds like par for the course if indeed Qantas is a Saudi Arabian airfare. So, I mean, I don't know much.
Oh, yeah, they are.
Yeah, so,
they are the biggest airline company that came. I think actually they are the same company that supports Manchester City. I think it's the same airline company that has interest in that. If I don't remember incorrectly, but I
didn't know.
Yeah, I mean. And so this kind of sounds like par for the course. I mean, I would like for Saudi Arabia and other kind of countries that are behind in the times of culture, I would like to see them kind of represent women a little better, a little more equal rights, a little more with the But I also understand that they've had this thing in place forever. So I guess it's not going to change anytime soon.
Yeah.
Sadly not.
Sadly. Hey, let's, speaking of things that are sad, let's go to Impact Wrestling. Because for those who missed last week's show, you may have heard Fro and I in one of the greatest reviews of all time, talking about Rob Van Dam, Katie Forbes, and where we had the first ever Z- match.
Yep.
You heard that right, Z-.
Yep.
And all the credit goes to my 10-year-old nephew. So I had added during the show that Impact Wrestling ended up getting banned on Twitch for the segment between Rob Van Dam, Katie Forbes, and her girlfriend.
Yeah, because they have a very strict, what should I call it? Sex policy on Twitch. They are not very allowed. For some strange reason, violence is okay with wrestling, but naked women talking about sexual inappropriate things are, that is not allowed on Twitch at all.
Have you seen the video, by the way, Jason?
I've seen it about 924 times, yes.
God.
So I've got to say this. I honestly have not touched any full Impact stuff, probably since I gave up in about 2012. And this controversy and the screenshots that I had seen made me kind of curious as to why they were kicked off Twitch. So I actually went to YouTube and I searched an Impact Wrestling segment for the first time in years. Honestly, this was something that actually got some casual viewers interested as far as Impact goes. And I watched the segment, and I've got to say, people on Twitter always are quick to say, oh, well, you guys always say you want the Attitude Era back, but you're so quick to condemn when things get racy or get serious. And to me, I think this was a good segment. I think that it got RVD over it as a character. He's been doing a lot of heel shtick where he's better than everyone else, and people are stealing his moves, and he's rich and famous, and he's a veteran. He's doing this new heel gimmick, and this is exactly the kind of heel heat that you want to get. You want him to portray the fact that he's better than everyone else, and he has the good life and all this stuff. So I think that introducing him and his real life wife and their girlfriend, whether it was a real life thing or not,
it's a real thing.
Okay.
It's a real thing, sadly.
Congratulations then to RVD if you're living that life good. But I mean, at the end of the day, I think that sex is fine being put on wrestling TV as long as all the parties agree to it, and as long as it's done in a way that's going to enhance a story or a character. I think it's fine. I think we're too sensitive as a culture, and I think Twitch did the wrong thing here.
I mean,
we could not disagree more. Well, I think their stand on this was maybe one of the best things I have ever seen Twitch did, because this segment was just awful. It is one of the worst segments I have seen. And yes, I understand it's kind of attitude era kind of thing. And I agree with you. People complaining about that should not complain about that.
Way too much stuff.
And also Impact has moved away from that. Like I have been a champion for Impact for over a year on this podcast.
He has.
And I have convinced Bill to begin watching it again, and it's like this feels like a fist in my face, this thing, because I was disgusted. And there's something called women's revolution in wrestling going on right now, and I feel this is going against everything that stands for and everything that WWE has taken all the glory for, and Impact has actually worked more for, because their women's wrestling was actually one of the best wrestling in the world. I'm the first to say that actually, if you look back, they are the one that created the women's revolution with ODB and everything else. So this reminds me of the Hulk Hogan era of wrestling, and I'm sorry, I don't want the Hulk Hogan era in wrestling in my fucking Impact.
But the thing is, at the end of the day, no matter what, sex sells. It is the honest truth.
Right.
No matter where you are.
Yeah.
Now, I have said that I actually like the RVD heel character. I really do. Mm-hmm. I think it's great. It's different. My only complaint is when a woman twerks 57,000 times during a match, it gets disgusting after about the fourth time. We get it. You have a fat ass. You go and you shake it. We get it. But, I wonder, my only thing is, with the Twitch thing, I wonder if Twitch said something to Impact where it's like, okay, we'll let you back on, but you have to do it under these terms.
See,
Right.
my take is this, and I definitely understand what Fro is saying. I am a big proponent of women's revolution. I really enjoy the physicality, the athleticism, the respect that women have been given, especially in Impact. I actually agree with you. The women have been probably the best women's division in the world for Impact for most of the time, if not with NXT. But I think that Impact has done a wonderful job in showcasing some very talented ladies, and especially now with Tessa Blanchard. I mean, we can talk about her personal situation, how she's been in locker rooms and whatever. I mean, I'm not talking about her character here,
Right.
but I'm talking about in terms of her in-ring wrestling and her character in the ring. She's a tremendous, amazing athlete. But I think there's room, in my opinion, again, as long as all the women consent to this and agree to do it, I think there's room to have both, sexy, provocative women characters as well as athletic wrestling on the same program. I don't think that it flies in the face of each other as long as everybody agrees that they want to do it and it gets somebody over and it's not done pointlessly like it was in the Attitude Era at times.
But it felt very. That's where I don't agree with you. Is where it felt pointless here. I think personally it felt very pointless because it didn't get RVD over. It got him. It got him horny people posting like, "Oh, I wish I was him." If they want to turn him heel, this is not the way of going actually, because I think this isn't a heel character. This is a every man's wet dream is to have two girls at the same time. So if the goal was to get him heel heat for this, I don't think it worked. And that's why I think it was one of the most stupid segments I have seen in many years in Impact. And like I said, it reminded me of when they did stupid things in the Hulk Hogan era of Impact. And I don't want that. I want them to go on working on what they have. And they have a fantastic roster. It feels like a slap in the face to the rest of the roster as well, giving this as much time as it was given on a pay-per-view.
I mean, but by the same token, and I definitely, again, I totally see what your point is. I definitely see a lot of merit in your point. I think where it got him over is because, women have been used as heel magnets for so long in wrestling, and it's a very effective tactic whenever it's done well. And you can argue whether or not this was done well or not. I personally think it was. You think it wasn't. But I think that the way that it works, like for example, like with Edge and Lita doing the sex celebration, and with franchise used to use Francine in the same way. They try and say, well, listen, we have this hot chick here with us because we're better than you, and we're living the lifestyle that you're not good enough to live. MJF did the same thing in MLW with I forget what her name was in MLW. But it's like nowadays, guys are using hot girls just like Kip Sabian's doing with Penelope Ford right now in AEW. So I think that you can use that, like, I have more skills than you, I'm better than you, I have a hotter chick than you, a better job than you. I think that really magnifies and makes a good heel character as long as it's done right. I guess it's just a matter of personal taste whether you think this was executed well or not.
But here's the difference between Katie Forbes and Penelope Ford. Penelope is easier on the eyes. That's all I'm going to say. At least in my opinion.
I agree to that.
Yes.
Now, sticking with RVD, he stayed in his heel character on Twitter because he talked about Joey Ryan. And I actually like this. I wanted to read this because I thought this was really good. And he wrote about Joey Ryan, hey, you know what? Can I say this? I'm embarrassed to call myself a wrestler because of stuff like that I just saw, referring to Joey Ryan's dick flip.
I mean, as much as I complain about people stealing RVD's moves that might be better than leaving it to themselves, because that's what happens when you're not stealing RVD's moves. I mean, he is playing the heel character really good, but...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
No, I love that kind of thing.
I'm going to say that this is another sort of example of whether you like the style or not. Personally, when RVD was speaking, he was certainly speaking for me in this too, because I'm not a big fan of penis in my wrestling. So I'm not a huge fan of the Joey Ryan dick flip thing. It's just, again, to my personal taste, I think comedy certainly has its place in wrestling.
Yeah.
There's certain that I really, really enjoy. There's certain comedy characters that I think are excellent. But in this case, I just don't like the whole, invincible penis thing. It just doesn't tickle my fancy as
But isn't that kind of double moral for you then, though?
I caught that too. Tickling him.
Isn't that kind of double moral that you say that tits and pussy is okay, but you say dick isn't? Isn't that just because you like one thing better than the other? Isn't that kind of hurting your case in a way?
Well, so again, what I said in both cases was that it's down to a personal taste, and so my personal taste is not for the penis. But again, I mean, I can't deny the fact that some fans do like it. I don't really understand the rationale, but I know that some fans enjoy it, and it's entertaining for certain people, and it's gotten Joey Ryan much more in the public eye than he would have been otherwise if he was just a regular character. So good for him. I mean, I'm it's good that he's getting extra exposure because of it. It's just not something that I personally enjoy. So to those fans that do, that's good for them. But I'm just not. I don't see the allure in having a penis that's invincible, because I have yet to come across anybody that's had a penis that's invincible. I mean, there's been cases of guys that have had hot girls that I've been jealous of. There's been cases of dudes having three-ways that I've been like, oh man, I'm jealous of that guy. I hate that guy. So that's kind of a realistic thing. Whereas I've never seen a dude get kicked in the dick and go, that didn't hurt, now you broke your foot. So I don't know about that.
I have. It's called jackass.
Oh, but you know what, bro? They are going to change that with PC jackass when it comes.
I know, yeah.
Hi, I'm Van Margera, and I'm going to put a blanket over my parents.
But to your case, like I love the Joey Ryan thing, and I can call out my own bias there, because I see there is a bias in there, but the thing is, like, when he does it, it feels like it's done with more, how do I say it, more love than what our RVD did. I find what he did when he did it on that pay-per-view, it felt very unplaced, and it felt very impact wise. But when Joey Ryan does it on his end, it doesn't feel fake. It feels more real. Do you understand what I say?
Not really, not personally. I mean, I think the fake versus real, like I just said, the example I just gave kind of is what makes me feel the opposite way. I feel like being jealous of a guy that's hooking up with two beautiful ladies is kind of a thing that a lot of people go through, whereas getting kicked in the dick and breaking your foot is not really a common thing for guys. So I feel like that's where the realism lacks to me personally.
Now,
maybe you need to be kicked in the balls more.
I will say though, in Joey's defense, because I've watched him wrestle for many years, he's a guy like a Chris Jericho, like an Undertaker, where he can transform into another persona. Because I remember, like 13, 14 years ago,
Technical Wizard.
Yeah, like he was, he had, his saying of who wants a mustache, right? And I thought, dude, that is like the greatest thing. And then he became Sleazy Joey Ryan, and he wanted to bring Sleazy back, which was really cool. So he's one of those that can evolve through the times. And right now, his current evolution, which is him with an with an almighty powerful penis is working for him. But he'll know at some point when to stop, and then he'll transform into something else.
Mhm.
I hope it's soon.
Okay, so last week talked about Rocky Johnson, who passed away at the age of 75, and gave a little insight on him. Normally we don't talk about funerals, but this one is an exception because a lot of crazy shit apparently happened at Rocky Johnson's funeral.
Wow.
And it involves Pat Patterson and Vince McMahon.
Of course it does.
So there's been a lot of I've been reading these reports for the last 2 days. This is some of the craziest but maybe funniest stuff I've ever read in my life. So the funeral was this past Wednesday. And among the people that were at the funeral was Devin Nicholson. I'll tell everyone who he is a little bit later on. And superstar Billy Graham. Because, you know, superstar Billy Graham. My favorite person in the world. So anyway, during the funeral, Pat Patterson gets up on the stage. Or gets up on the podium. What I am about to read is superstar Billy Graham's words that happened that he has since deleted from Facebook. Out of nowhere, Patterson goes into this rant. It called Rocky Johnson laying dead in the casket right below him a mother effer. It started this vulgar rant about how worthless Rocky was, and a bunch of guys had to drag Patterson off the church platform and sit him down. Patterson, who just turned 81, must be losing his mind literally. Only in pro wrestling, folks. Very sad to hear about this, and I actually feel a bit ill over this bizarre behavior. Now, Devin Nicholson, who a lot of you guys might know as Hannibal, he's a Canadian wrestler. He put in what he had heard about the funeral. I've asked around some other people that were there. I won't mention their names. Billy Graham said that Vince and Pat were very rude on the podium. This other person who I spoke to said he wasn't really going to defend what Vince did. Pat apparently said goddamn a few times in the church, and he said the word shit. The exact speech of Pat's that Billy Graham alleged Pat was escorted off the stage. Now I guess we'll find out more as more people come out that were at the funeral. From the people I spoke to, they said that there was some drama. There was frustration, and I guess the preacher spoke for more than an hour and was very negative towards professional wrestling. So Pat and Vince's attitudes on the stage may have had to do with the preacher who, this is not a quote, but apparently some people were saying he acting like wrestling was fake and more of a joke. Also, the funeral was supposed to take place at a much smaller place in front of only about 100 friends and close family members, but it was moved to a massive church and there was a lot of people there. Okay, now that's just the beginning. This is where it gets even better. Because, according to reports, Pat Patterson and Vince McMahon were drunk. Or they both were a bit of, both probably. Pat's microphone got cut off because he was talking so long at the funeral. Pat's ending line was, and I quote, "Last night I was drunk and I was drinking water or what I thought was in the sink and then the toilet seat fell on my head." Vince said Rocky Johnson was a great wrestler, but the greatest thing he ever did was marry Ada, and Ada had some kids. Then he walked out of the building. Vince strutted on and off the stage like he was doing a promo. He looked like he really shrunk too. I assume he means in size. Harry Smith, who was there, went on to say Vince and Pat are completely out to lunch. I thought they were drunk, but I spoke to Pat and maybe he's just going senile. Oh my God. Oh.
Wow.
And then the best part of this is that the family was not offended.
Oh, unmute yourself, Jason. I
Oh
can't
my
see it.
God. Oh my God.
Can you unmute him?
Oh yeah. Oh, and then there's gonna be one more thing I'm gonna add into this. Hold on. How do I wait? How do you gotta unmute Jason.
I can't do it. Try it.
Hold on.
You try it,
Oh
Jason.
God.
Okay, let's add him.
Alright. And then there's okay. Oh crap. So anyway, there's one more piece that goes into this story. And this just gets even better. It really does. Because guess who else has something to say? Superstar Billy Graham's mother-in-law has something to say. You're still muted. Oh God, hold on.
Add him to the call.
All right, I'm gonna add him. Hold on. See, this story has made us go crazy, folks. It really has. We're getting Jason back.
Skype.
Sky.
I wanna live forever.
All right, are you there, Jason?
Hopefully I'm back. Am I back?
Oh, okay, perfect.
All right.
Sorry about that, guys.
That's okay. So, after hearing that the Johnson family was not offended by Pat Patterson and Vince McMahon, superstar Billy Graham's mother-in-law had something to say about this. Because, and I'm sure all of you are wondering, how the hell is superstar Billy Graham's mother-in-law still alive? Well, Billy Graham married his wife when they were both younger. And she was apparently a wrestler, Sherry Lee. I've never heard of her. She was at the service. And this is what Sherry Lee had to say. Or this is from Devin Nicholson. I spoke to Billy Graham's mother-in-law, Sherry Lee. For those of you wondering how could Billy Graham's mother-in-law still be alive, Billy Graham married his wife Valerie when she was very young. Her mother was a very successful women's wrestler in her day. She gave me this statement at the funeral. I don't care what other people thought about what Billy says. He was only repeating my opinion. My opinion may not have been the same as the family's, and I think their opinions are what counts. It was a beautiful funeral. Vince and Pat could have been more respectful. Other than that, the speakers were very good. Everyone loved Rocky. He definitely deserves nothing but admiration and respect. So that statement was from the mother-in-law of superstar Billy Graham.
Oh man, I mean, I guess my only major thoughts on this is just that even though you mentioned that the family wasn't really offended, I still feel bad for the lack of reverence in this funeral. I mean, my poor Rock just lost his father, and just not even taking into account that Rocky Johnson is a wrestling legend who really helped to revolutionize some things in the time period. But it's just that Rock and Rock's family just lost the patriarch of their clan, and these people are being drunk and disrespectful at a funeral. I mean, everyone deals with loss and grieving in different ways, but you've really got to pay some respects to the dead in this situation. So I kind of feel bad for Rock and his family.
Yeah. Fro, do you have anything to add on?
No, this is just, it's so stupid
I mean,
to have this going on directly in a funeral. It's so disrespectful.
I mean, it's one of those situations where, hold on a minute, guys. You're really here. You really want to talk? Okay, I'll let you. Ladies and gentlemen, Vince McMahon has just entered the studio here, and he smells a bourbon, but he wants to talk. Go ahead.
Okay.
Hello. So I hear you little pieces of crap are talking about what I did at Rocky's dad's funeral. Well, let me say this. First off, he drew me a shitload of money. He sure did. His dad was a good man. Yeah, he was good. But his wife, wow. I'll tell you, his wife is a hot piece of ass. Vince! What? Have you been on a binge for 3 days? How many fingers is this? That's 5, Vince. 3 it is! So anyway, I just want to say, screw Superstar Billy Graham. He drew shit for my father. That's why we took the belt off him. That no-good, bald-headed freak. Okay, someone get him out, please. I apologize, ladies and gentlemen.
Someone to why Vince sounds like Marks and Sisters on the Simpsons.
Yeah. Who knows? We might have them on next week. Oh my god.
Oh,
but yeah,
I'm so happy that Elmo is here to entertain me.
In all honesty, though, I agree with the both of you. I do feel bad about what happened. I mean, yeah, I think the worst people that I feel about are his kids. Not only Dwayne, but his other kids that he had from his first marriage. I feel really bad for them. So, honestly, I'm glad this story did not become big and publicized like we just made it, but still, it's one of those things where you're like, holy crap, you can't believe it happened, but it did.
I also genuinely too feel like I've been thinking that Vince was getting a little senile for a couple of years now. I mean, he's coming on the air and kind of inserting all these random rules with no commercials and 6-man tags and wild cards and other cards and whatever. Like Vince has kind of been a little out of his mind for a couple of years now, in my opinion. Physically he's still in great shape for a man of 99 years old, but mentally he's certainly got his issues, and I don't know. I haven't heard Pat Patterson be in the public eye for a long time, so I can imagine that he's, like you said, he's 81 years old. So these guys also are really starting to kind of lose it. So I think it's about time for them to kind of calm down and step out of the public spotlight for a little bit too.
Yeah. Although I'll be honest, reading that's the second time I've ever heard anyone say "goddamn" at church. The first time was an episode of Modern Family when Gloria was going to baptize his son.
Gloria does it, yeah.
And Ed O'Neill has one of the greatest lines I've ever heard in my life when they're fighting it. They're like, "Listen, we are in the house of God, damn it." I was like, that's one of the smartest lines I've ever heard. That was a good one. Watch Modern Family, folks. They're ending soon. All right, now that we've gotten the weird and the sublime news out of the way, there are 3 major shows happening this weekend. Yes, and we're going to start with the Friday show. The NWA, which has made a tremendous comeback. They are going to have their next show.
I can't believe that is the show that I'm maybe most excited for this weekend.
I agree, absolutely. I think the NWA being so different, I mean, like it's because every single product kind of feels a little bit homogenized these days with just how fast paced all the moves and all the stuff and the high flying and all that stuff is. The NWA being old school studio wrestling with an old school studio feel, shorter matches, kind of slower paced matches based on characters and promos. I really enjoy how set apart this is, And I think for me, since Lucha Underground died, which was also a different style of product, I think this is the best thing going in wrestling right now. I really enjoy these 45-minute shows each week. I'm really loving the roster they're putting together. I think Billy Corgan has done a tremendous job. I love the character-based presentation, and I love the fact that I've been hearing a lot of possibilities for different TV deals coming up, so I hope they get something.
Yeah, and I think the proof is in the pudding, because if you look at the numbers on YouTube every week, they are over 100,000 views every single week. So what we're going to do for Hard Times, that's the name of the show tonight, you guys can get it on Fight TV for only $20. That is a bargain right there, folks, in this day and age. $20 to see this show. We're going to go through the non-tournament matches first. And then we're each going to pick a winner for the TV title tournament. I have the list here, so you guys don't be afraid. You're not going to be out of the loop. So we're going to start with our non-tournament matches. This is a non-title match. Nick Aldis against Flip Gordon.
So I've got a couple of quick points. Number one, I just want to say, wrestling fans out there that don't realize there's more products besides WWE, if you guys are disenchanted with Raw and SmackDown and you don't like the lack of logic or the lack of pushes or Vince being senile, if you guys want to try some other stuff, NWA is on YouTube every single week. It's only a 45-minute show. It's free. This pay-per-view is stacked. The roster's excellent. You guys will recognize a lot of names from Impact Wrestling, WWE, a lot of places, and it's only $20. Give this show a chance and see if you guys like it, because there's other wrestling out there if you guys don't like Raw and SmackDown. Number two, I love what Marty Scurll is doing already with Ring of Honor, getting Ring of Honor back on tune with the NWA. Ring of Honor, much like NWA, needed a resurgence after the last year or two of losing all their stars and getting all this bad press. So it's really nice to see that not only did Marty Scurll surprisingly re-sign after we all thought he would go to AEW, but he has already redeveloped the relationship between Ring of Honor with New Japan and NWA. So we're seeing guys like Marty Scurll and guys like Dan Moff, which you'll get to, and Flip Gordon being involved in this show. So now there's more possible star power and dream matches for both companies, which I really enjoy. That being said, I guess if you guys want to give your take on that before we get into the match review.
Because it's a non-title match, I'm still going to go with Nick, but I wouldn't be surprised if Marty somehow got involved.
Oh, yeah, I totally agree. That's at the end of the day, I think they're going to protect Aldis here. I think Aldis is their number one guy. He is the company champion, the face of the company, and I think that he wins here. I don't think a loss is going to hurt another company's guy in Flip Gordon.
Right.
I'm looking forward to this match a lot. There's just two tremendous athletes in there. I think it's going to be a great story of speed against technical, and I do think Aldis pulls the win out, but I think Marty is involved either during or directly after the match.
How about you, Fro?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, it hurts absolutely nobody if Flip wins. It's kind of it's maybe the most obvious pick of the week. I will tell you that.
Can I make an argument real quick for Nick Aldis being one of, if not the best heel in professional wrestling today?
Ooh, yes.
He is so good. He's great on the mic. He's great in the ring. I hate to say it, but Impact sort of blew it on Nick Aldis. I hate to say it, but they did. And the NWA is reaping the benefits right now.
Mm.
Yes, I actually really agree. I think Nick Aldis is the second best heel in the entire wrestling business right now.
Who would you have as your number one? I'm just curious.
MJF.
Ooh, that's a good choice. Ooh.
Mm.
We'll have to have that debate another day.
Absolutely.
All right, now to the title matches. We have the NWA Women's title going to be defended. Allison Kay defending against Thunder Rosa.
I like both. Yeah, come on.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I love both of this. I think this again is kind of easy. I feel like they really have been pushing this the right way. It feels like they have worked the right way here. So I'm actually going a little left, maybe, and I will pick the contender.
Oh, Thunder Rosa. Okay.
Yeah, I have a strange feeling she will win because there are uh, so many other matches on the card where I feel like they will push what they have, but this could be a push for what they could have, if you understand what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one's pretty interesting. I mean, this one is actually a little bit hard to call for me because Allison Kay has been doing really, really good work in NWA. I'm really enjoying her. And Thunder Rosa, as well, is one of the better characters in the company. I really enjoy the Thunder Rosa character. She's protected very, very well in her booking. She's been aligned with the heel faction with Melina and Marty Bell. And this is a little confusing for me because my natural inclination would say to go with the champion here because Allison Kay has been their female face of the brand, deservedly so. But since they're doing so much projecting for an eventual match down the line where Melina gets her shot at Allison Kay, they're doing so much of that, and they're trying to have Melina kind of pull the strings of Thunder Rosa and using her as kind of yes, that's kind of the conduit. So I'm kind of thinking what Fro's thinking, maybe Thunder Rosa pulls the upset here. It gives her a big win, and it kind of throws a monkey wrench in Melina's plan. So now there's kind of a three-way tension building thing where Melina is mad because her student overcame her kind of and did what she didn't want her to do. So I'm really kind of unsure about this one, but because of that kind of cool dynamic and that storyline of Melina kind of trying to avoid getting in the ring with Allison Kay, but wind up having her henchman kind of take the belt anyway and kind of throw a monkey wrench. So I'm actually going to take the challenge as well.
And that's one of the things that I was thinking about when I picked her was that opportunity, and I feel like it's always more interesting when a heel has the championship, especially if she wins against such a big face, because she has done tremendously work there. And I think it would be one of the biggest upsets of the night, and it would bring her even more heel power if she wins.
All right, this is my thinking on this. Because for the last few weeks, you can obviously see Melina is pulling the strings because the goal for her is, like you guys have said, she wants a shot at the women's title.
Mm-hmm.
So here's what I think happens. I think Melina sees Thunder Rosa as more of a threat as a champion than Allison Kay. Melina is going to somehow mess things up, cost Thunder Rosa the match, Allison Kay wins, and then Melina gets the next shot at the title, thinking Kay is the better opponent of the two, thus thinking she'll be able to beat her.
And again, thank you, NWA, for being able to weave kind of storylines in and make us think for once. It's really nice to be able to really have some layers and levels. I mean, I'm so used to reviewing these Raw and SmackDown crap where there's nothing to think about, but I really enjoy the fact that NWA is telling good stories.
I couldn't agree more.
Now we have a triple threat match for the NWA World Tag Team titles. The Rock and Roll Express will defend the titles against the Wild Cards. And this team, I don't think they've ever teamed before, James Storm and Eli Drake.
No, I don't think so. Not that I can remember.
Yeah, not that I know of.
No. They've been doing a couple of tag team matches on the Power Show weekly. They've probably done 2 or 3 of those. Right. Not too many, but a couple.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. I was gonna take this one for this one. Perfect billism. Look, I love the story of the Rock and Roll Express, winning back the tag team titles. I think it's a good story. Plus, they can still wrestle. But at some point, the story has to end. And I think it ends tonight. I think the Wild Cards win back the tag team titles.
But isn't it funny that you said that the last time as well?
Right.
Last time I was right, and I'm kind of happy that I was right. You had the same argument the last time as well, and they won.
Yeah, you know what? I actually agree with Bill here. I'm going to say this is my only negative point to the NWA. I think the company is near doing perfect work right now, and I mean this with entire respect to the Rock and Roll Express. I love the story. I love that they've kept themselves in good shape and that they are the heart and soul of an old school NWA promotion. I believe they're legends and one of the best tag teams of all time. But I think at some point with their age, in spite of the fact they are, again, still in good shape and they're still working very hard, and I appreciate and respect the work they're doing, I think the age takes me out of it a little bit. I know that Ricky Morton's still doing Canadian Destroyers because he's insane, but I think that at some point it's a little bit too much for my disbelief that these almost 70-year-olds are winning tag titles against very young, in-shape guys. So nothing against what they're doing with the Legend storyline. It's a nice feel-good moment, but I think now it has to end, in my opinion. And as far as the challengers, I think that the Storm and Drake tag team have a lot of charisma. They're obviously two Impact TNA mainstays that were very good in their time. Two guys I think that also in a way missed the boat with Impact. But I'm going to say the Wild Cards retain the belts here because they are part of the faction with Nick Aldis. They're part of the Strictly Business faction, and those guys I think need gold to be the center of the program. So maybe one of the other guys come out and kind of cost them. I know Nick Aldis has been kind of feuding on TV with Ricky Morton. So maybe Aldis or somebody else in Strictly Business gets involved here, but I think the Wild Cards win the belts back.
I'm going to go with an upset here because I did it last time and I was right last time. So I am going to pick the Rock and Roll Express just because of the fun of it.
Okay.
Just because. Yeah, it can happen. What I see, the only way I see them winning, by the way, is that they pin the new team because they can't work together. That is the storyline of the match, is that the new team can't work together. They start infighting, and then the Rock and Roll come and destroys them that way. I think that's
okay.
Yeah. Why not?
Our final title match that is scheduled.
I'm not sure if I actually believe that or not, but but I will go with it.
Might as well ride the wave, right?
Right.
Our final title match that is scheduled is for the NWA National Heavyweight title. I can't believe this match is actually a thing. Aaron Stevens defends the national title against Scott Steiner.
I know.
Man,
I'm going to say it right away. If Scott Steiner wins this match, I'm going to be so fucking pissed.
So I guess my feedback comes from, number one, I think Scott Steiner fits the NWA so well. I mean, he's already got the lineage with the Steiner brothers being there. Obviously, Scott Steiner is a body guy and a promo guy, which are things the NWA is looking for these days. Scott Steiner's got a character we all know very well. We all know Scott Steiner's promo history, and that suits itself very well to Power, especially considering he's a star Power name and a big main event name. But I think because he's kind of involved with Nick Aldis' group right now, Strictly Business, and I think the storyline is they're the number one group in the company right now. And if things hold true in predictions and Aldis wins, and especially if the Wild Cards win their belts back, I could see Scott Steiner winning this title so that they have all the gold, so to speak, after this night's over. And Aaron Stevens, he's been doing tremendous work. I love what he's doing in NWA right now, as kind of the trying to avoid people comedy heel, doing the karate and all that. I think he is a absolute gem that Vince McMahon missed the boat on a long time ago when he was doing the Mizdow stuff. Yeah. So I think that not only is Scott Steiner a big name that could hold a title and could lend more credibility to Strictly Business, but also Aaron Stevens is so good as a comedy heel, he doesn't need the belt. He can lose and still be the comedy heel that he is, and it's not going to hurt him. His character's so over and he's such a goof that it kind of fits him getting destroyed by Steiner and still thinking he's the champion or something. So I think that he can lose and not be hurt by it. So I'm going to take Scott Steiner here.
I'll go next. I think this is this is a weird match. I have no other way to describe it except this is going to be a weird match. I see Scott Steiner's temper getting the best of him, and Aaron Stevens will win by disqualification.
I could see that.
All right, Fro, you're the tiebreaker on this one.
Yeah, like I said, I'm going to be so pissed if Scott Steiner win this.
So you're going with Stevens then?
I am, but I'm not sure if I am. I kind of want him to win because of the heel thing. Mm-hmm. I kind of agree that it would be fun to have the whole faction win and they come out strong in the pay-per-view, but that kind of destroys the other things that I have said. No, fuck it. I will stay with the champion.
All right. And the big feature for this pay-per-view is the tournament to crown a brand new NWA television champion. For an individual,
the only thing that the WWE is doing right now, by the way.
For an individual to win this tournament tonight, they are going to have to win 3 matches. Well, unless there's like a time limit draw or something, then it could be 2. So here are the first round matches. We have Matt Cross against Ricky Starks, Ziggy Dice against Dan Moff, Trevor Murdoch against The Question Mark, and Tim Storm against Ken Anderson. Now, in the NWA Facebook group that I currently run, I asked who they think or who will win the tournament. Most people say Tim Storm is going to win the tournament. So,
it would make the most sense, yeah.
I'm going to ask you guys, who wins the tournament tonight?
I think for me, it comes down to 2 possibilities. They're building up 2 guys as being really, really solid participants in this thing. I think that Tim Storm, obviously, he can't challenge for the world title right now, and he's still so over. He's such a sympathetic character with his hard working and overcoming his age and working so hard. And Mama Storm especially, yeah. I think that he's such a sympathetic character and he's done such a good job as a face in this company. And the fact that he can't challenge for the world title means that a secondary title would be a very good fit for him to still stay in the spotlight. The other guy I'm really considering is Ricky Starks. He's gotten himself very over in recent weeks. He went to a time limit draw with Nick Aldis. Nick Aldis has said many times over that he could see Ricky Starks being a future world champion, being a future of the company. So there's a good chance that, say, these 2 guys meet in the finals and Nick Aldis interferes against Tim Storm, costing him against Ricky Starks, and Starks joins Nick Aldis's group. So I'm really not sure how that final turns out. I think that's the final is Starks against Storm. And something is telling me that Ricky Starks joins up with Nick Aldis. Aldis earned his respect by going a time limit draw with him, and he keeps saying he's the future of the company. So I think that maybe Aldis is recruiting Ricky Starks here. So something in me says that Ricky Starks is going to go heel and win this for that faction. But I'm going to go with the sentimental pick here. Go with my heart over my head. I'm going to say Tim Storm wins the belt.
All right. You want to go next, bro?
Yeah. This is one I'm pretty unsure of. I think I can say who it won't be. It won't be question mark.
As much as we all love the
that would be funny though. Yeah, I mean, there's a good case for what Jason just said. I think he's correct on the final, but I think he's incorrect with the winner.
All right.
Yeah.
So you're going Ricky Starks.
I am going Starks. I think that makes the most sense.
All right. To me, it comes down to three people for me. Tim Storm, obviously. Ricky Starks, again, obviously. And one who neither one of you have brought up, which I understand, but he's been making a bit of a renaissance as of late, and that's Trevor Murdoch. Trevor Murdoch, when he began, when Power began, you weren't sure if he was a jobber or if he was like low to mid card, but he had a good match with Nick Aldis. He's had good matches. Plus, apparently, he could carry a bucket of fried chicken across the African desert and get it to Somalia, but that's another story. I think what it comes down to for me is what's going to make the most sense. And the way they've been pushing Tim Storm, and I've really enjoyed Tim Storm as of late. He seems to me, excuse me, like the only logical choice to win this tournament because he might have to go 3 times to win the title. So I'm gonna go with Jason, and I'm gonna say Tim Storm wins the title tonight.
Okay.
But I wouldn't be surprised if Starks won. I will say that. If it's Starks, I'm fine with that. If it's Murdoch, I'll be very happy just because I'm a Trevor Murdoch fan. I liked him in WWE, but
he was amazing in WWE.
Very underrated.
Yep.
All right. So Saturday, we're gonna have a battle of world. There are gonna be worlds colliding with NXT and NXT UK. I have the card here, and we have a pre-show match. How about that? It is Mia Yim against Kay Lee Ray. This is a non-title match, by the way, so the UK women's title not on the line.
That would be funny though if it was. But I'm going with not the champ this time. I think it's pretty obvious when it's not for anything. She has nothing to lose. I will say right away that the way they have built up this is one of the most genius things I have ever seen in a long, long, long time. It is extremely good build-up, but I don't know if I cared as much as I did for this Survivor Series, and there's one reason because of that. I don't have the network. I don't watch NXT UK, to be honest. I watched their pay-per-view the last time they had the pay-per-view. That was an amazing, good pay-per-view that both me and Bill enjoyed. It was a good pay-per-view, don't you agree?
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not super excited for this. But I think they want to get watching people to watch the network. So I have to be careful to pick too many NXT winners because I think NXT UK will win all overall, and that's one of the reasons why I'm picking so early in the show not a champion. Because I have a feeling that NXT UK will win all over just to push that company even more.
Yeah, I can definitely see what Fro's saying here. I'm also kind of in the same boat where there's so much wrestling and I watch so much of it. I'm a regular viewer of Ring of Honor, AEW, NWA, MLW, PCW Ultra. I watch a lot of this stuff, NXT when I can. So I don't really watch much NXT UK. It's mostly relegated to the major shows, the pay-per-views they have on the network. Aside from that, I don't really watch week to week NXT UK. So while I do think the wrestling and the roster is really good, I don't really follow it very closely. I know who everybody is and all that, but I just don't have time to watch another hour of wrestling. I mean, it's so much already. But so I'd much rather personally have the old schedule where we get a Saturday night takeover before a big show. I'd rather get an NXT show by itself. With that being said, this card does look pretty cool, and I think Fro is right. They're going to try to get NXT UK to get the rub off NXT and try to get people to go, oh, these guys are beating the NXT guys. This sounds like a pretty good brand. We should probably watch this if we aren't already. So I definitely can see the marketing value in that. So I'm gonna say Kaylee Ray, the NXT UK champion, ranks a little higher than the third or fourth woman in the NXT women's division here. So I think Kaylee Ray wins.
All right. Yeah, I think Kaylee Ray's going to win this one, even if it is a non-title match, which it is. I think Mia's okay losing this one. So I'm going to say Kaylee Ray takes it. All right, to the main card, we have this tag match. Oh, it's going to be great. DIY against Mustache Mountain.
Yeah, I have to go with the UK here. There's absolutely no way NXT normal. Should I call it NXT USA?
No, NXT normal. I like the NXT normal.
Right, NXT normal. Okay, NXT normal. I think UK will win here.
All right, so you're going Mustache Mountain.
I am.
This one to me is one of the harder ones to call just because we haven't seen Gargano and Ciampa together full time for a while, so there's a big novelty here. On the other hand, you don't want to hurt Mustache Mountain because they are a regular major act in NXT UK. So this one to me is one of the harder ones of the weekend to call. I'm going to go with Gargano and Ciampa simply because they're more known on a national basis. They're bigger stars separately. I don't know if they need the win as much as Mustache Mountain, which is why I understand Fro's pick. But I'm just going to take Gargano and Ciampa here just on the basis that DIY was a major act and they have not been together in quite a while.
I agree with Jason. I think it's going to be DIY. They haven't teamed in like 2+ years. It's sort of a reunion. I don't know if it's a one-off or not, but I think Gargano and Ciampa are going to win that match. Then we have the NXT Cruiserweight title on the line. Fatal 4-Way, Angel Garza, the champion, defending against Isaiah Swerve Scott, Jordan Devlin, and Travis Banks.
Okay, I was waiting for someone else to go, so I guess I'll go ahead and take it. Hopefully the crowd is louder than our silence just was for that one. Please don't let our silence be any indicator of the match quality because these are pretty good wrestlers. I have seen some Jordan Devlin. I think he's a much improved wrestler. I think from the first NXT UK tournament up to now, he's improved himself so much. Both in persona and in the ring. I really enjoy what he does. But I think Angel Garza is so good. I mean, he was underrated when he was in Impact when he was there. His persona mixed with his ability, he's just got such a feel over his character. He can mix the entertaining and the comedic in with the serious, in with the high flying. He's a very diverse guy, and he just won the belt fairly recently over Lio Rush. So I'm going to take Angel Garza here.
Yeah, I think Garza's going to win. Like Jason said, he just won the belt like a month ago. I can't see him losing the title after winning it in a hard-fought match. Garza's going to retain.
Yeah, I think this is pretty obvious. I think it's maybe the most obvious match of the night. There's no way UK is winning this because of that would be extremely weird because then they have to be on the main card as well. Yeah, so no, I'm sticking with the champ.
All right, a unanimous pick. All right, then we have Finn Balor against Ilya Dragunov.
Here's the perfect example of what I mean. Like, this match is going to be extremely good, first and foremost. But this is a totally match where I think the UK has to win. And here's the reason. Finn Balor was in NXT to get NXT over. And he's working with the people there not to get himself better, but to get the contenders better. And getting them in shape and showing them what is where the cost is. This is the perfect example of what I mean. We have someone that everybody knows, everybody loves, and him pushing someone to win here is the most obvious thing I have ever seen. I will be incredibly surprised if he wins.
All right, so you're going with Dragunov.
I am.
All right.
I'm actually going to go the opposite way here. I think that they can achieve the same kind of thing for Dragunov as long as he hangs with Balor and puts up a very close fight. I admittedly don't know a ton about Dragunov. I've only seen him once or twice. I like what I've seen. I think it'll be a good clash of styles. It's going to be a nice match. But I think that Dragunov, just by having a long competitive match with Balor and kicking out of some big moves, might give the fans the same aura that he is for real. Balor obviously was a big star in WWE. First ever Universal Champion, went to NXT, is majorly over with that crowd. He's such a big star on that level, where I think that Dragunov, just by hanging in there and almost winning, can get the same desired push. So I think Balor wins this one.
I think this is going to be a fun match to watch. They're both the same style wrestlers, look
Very
like same
much.
height, same weight.
Yeah. Yep.
I think Balor's going to go over, but I could see Dragunov having
Really?
maybe a breakout performance here.
I think it's so obvious that he doesn't. It's kind of weird that you don't agree.
NXT Women's title on the line, Rhea Ripley defending against Toni Storm.
Oh, poor Toni Storm.
Yeah.
You go first, Bill.
Say that, yeah. I mean, there's really no chance here that Rhea Ripley loses. I mean, she's the new flavor of the month in the wrestling world. I mean, she's her finally beating the longtime streak of Shayna Baszler. The last thing they're gonna do is turn around in the first defense and give it to a UK opponent and have Ripley lose the belt already. There's less chance of me facing off in a Joey Ryan dick flip match against Marco Stunt than Rhea Ripley losing this one. So definitely picking Rhea this one, obviously.
Yeah.
It's so obvious. It's so obvious. It's super obvious. It's the pick of the week.
It is.
Ding, ding, ding.
And the main event of Worlds Collide. This is the match I'm actually looking forward to the most. 8-man tag team match, Undisputed Era against Imperium.
Imperium, done. Let's not talk more about it. It will be a great match. I can't fucking wait to see it, but Imperium has to win.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I was just going to say that I feel that Fro's point about NXT UK having to get some big wins here and kind of feel on par with NXT. This is a situation where both groups are the mainstay of their promotion. Both groups are the faces of their respective brands, and both kind of
faces.
yes, but heel faces, yes, but I think that at the end of the day, I think that a loss here is not going to hurt either brand, but I think that NXT UK needs the big win more, especially in the main event. So I'm going to take Imperium here. It's going to be a great match.
It has to be Imperium. I mean,
it has to.
After the big high that Undisputed Era had in 2019, and they started to develop the wheels on Wednesday with Roderick Strong losing the North American title, the only way to go is down, and Imperium is going to beat Undisputed Era. All right, so here's what we're going to do. Oh, by the way, that show is at 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 Central. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a break. Meanwhile, we're going to have our final Royal Rumble report. And when we come back, we're going to make our picks for everything the Royal Rumble. Plus, I'm going to give you guys some stats going into this weekend's Royal Rumble event. So let's go now to our last Royal Rumble report.
Well, this is it. This Sunday is the Royal Rumble, coming to you from Minute Maid Park in Houston, Texas. You can catch it live on the WWE Network with a 7 o'clock Eastern start. The Royal Rumble is the official beginning of the road to WrestleMania. And this year, the beginning to that road is going to take very interesting turns as we have 4 championship matches that will take place, plus a street fight. Now, the Universal Championship is going to be decided in a strap match, where the Fiend Bray Wyatt will defend the title against Daniel Bryan. This is a situation where no one can run, no one can hide. You are stuck with the other man for the entire match. Will Daniel Bryan be able to defeat Bray Wyatt and win the Universal title, or will the Fiend find another way to keep his gold? The Raw Women's title will be on the line as Becky Lynch defends against Asuka. Becky Lynch has said for weeks this is the one debt that she has yet to collect, and she can collect it this Sunday at the Royal Rumble if she can beat Asuka, which is a very hard task. Roman Reigns is going to take on King Corbin in a Falls Count Anywhere match. Basically, anyone that is going to Minute Maid Park this Sunday better be careful, because these two could be fighting all the way to the pitcher's mound, to the bullpen, even to the dugout in Minute Maid Park. This is going to be a wild fight. The SmackDown Women's title will be on the line. Bayley defends the title against Lacey Evans. This is a tremendous opportunity for Lacey Evans to win her first championship in WWE. But Bayley has worked long and hard to keep that belt, and it's going to take a lot for Bayley to give up the title this Sunday. Also, Shorty G will go one-on-one with a returning Sheamus. This is Sheamus' first pay-per-view match in almost a year. And the United States Championship will be on the line as Andrade will defend the title against Humberto Carrillo. It was Andrade a little over a month ago who put Humberto on the shelf, but with Humberto coming back this past Monday night on Raw, Andrade has big trouble ahead of him in the form of Humberto Carrillo. But of course, what would the Royal Rumble be without the Royal Rumble match? And we have 2 Royal Rumble matches. Now, of course, it starts with 2 people. Every 90 seconds, another individual is going to enter the ring. That continues until all 30 have entered. The last person remaining will be the winner of the Royal Rumble and will get a championship match at WrestleMania. Now, the Women's Royal Rumble, as of this moment, not a lot of women in it, but it will be full by this Sunday night. We have Charlotte Flair, last year's runner-up. We have Natalya, Alexa Bliss, Nikki Cross, and Sarah Logan. That is, as of this moment, the official list of the women competing in the Royal Rumble. Like I said, there will be more come this Sunday. And of course, we gotta mention the men's Royal Rumble match. The big headline, Brock Lesnar entering the Royal Rumble at the number 1 position. Will he be only the 3rd man to ever win the Royal Rumble wire to wire? Some people think it's a done deal. Brock Lesnar is going to do it. But for Brock Lesnar to win, he's going to have to outlast 29 other men. Now, while we don't have the list of the 29 other combatants that are in it, we do have a pretty nice sized list of the men that will be in the Royal Rumble. They include Roman Reigns, King Corbin, Dolph Ziggler, the Intercontinental Champion Shinsuke Nakamura, Braun Strowman, the SmackDown Tag Team Champions Kofi Kingston and Big E, Eric Rowan, AJ Styles, Randy Orton, Elias, Rey Mysterio, Ricochet, Drew McIntyre, from Heavy Machinery, Otis and Tucker, Rusev, Bobby Lashley, Aleister Black, the new Raw Tag Team Champions Buddy Murphy and Seth Rollins, Kevin Owens, and Samoa Joe. And that's just a list of the people that are in the Men's Rumble match, and there's going to be more entering this Sunday night. Folks, you don't want to miss the 2020 Royal Rumble. The road to WrestleMania officially begins this Sunday night with the Royal Rumble. Which two are going on their way to WrestleMania to challenge in main event matches? The only way to find out is to watch the Royal Rumble this Sunday night live on the WWE Network.
And we are back, and now it is our turn to make picks for the Royal Rumble. And of course, we're going to go through the non-Rumble matches itself before we get to the two big ones. And we're going to start with the United States Championship. Andrade defending against Humberto Carrillo.
How long has he had it now?
Who, Andrade?
Yeah.
A month.
A month? Yeah. No, I'm sticking with him then. I don't want it to become a hot potato championship. I could see that they put it on the, but no, I'm going to stick with the champion for this time, just because I don't want them to shift it as often as once a month.
Yes, sadly, I feel like so many times, especially the undercard belts, mean nothing because they bounce around so much.
Yeah.
And there's meaningful reasons. I'm really, really upset about how poorly they push their champions, how often their champions lose, and how their belts bounce around for no reason. So Andrade is a kind of a really good upper mid-card heel that could really solidify this championship and kind of make the U.S. belt what it should be if they would give him like a long 6-month reign with it. I don't think that it'll last 6 months with it because they just don't care anymore. But I do think that he just won the belt. Just won the belt a month ago, and there's been reports for a long time now that Vince is not a fan of Carrillo anymore. So I think that Andrade obviously retains here. It should be a good match, though.
I believe Andrade will retain the title. I mean, he just had a great match with Mysterio Monday night, and he's going to somehow manage to hang on to that title. In our Facebook group, most people agreed with us that Andrade will retain the U.S. title. Next match, Shorty G against Sheamus.
I love this match. It's just like, it is like, is it anybody here that believes that Sheamus is not going to win?
Everyone that has voted for Sheamus.
Okay, yes, because it is super obvious. It's super obvious that he's going to win. Maybe it's so obvious that they are even going to pick Shorty G just because they want to surprise everybody, but I don't see that.
I just hope that Sheamus, when he brogue kicks Chad Gable, I'm not calling him Shorty G. Fuck Vince, I'm not doing that bullshit. But I just hope that Sheamus brogue kicks Chad Gable so hard he goes to AEW. That's what I really want to see, because that's where Chad Gable belongs. Chad Gable is a very talented, charismatic, multiple style wrestler that could really be a good talker, a good promo, a good versatile hand in the ring. He has all the tools to be a breakout guy, and he's just pigeonholed by this stupid heightist gimmick that really is just giving him no chance to succeed. So I'm definitely offended for Gable here. Obviously Sheamus wins. Brogue kick 1, 2, 3. Like I said, hopefully he kicks Gable so hard he walks into All Out or something, or All Elite, or All Dynamite, or all whatever.
All Cruise. I'm going Sheamus. It's I think it's one of his first matches back. Sheamus is going to win. The SmackDown Women's title is on the line. Bayley against Lacey Evans.
I picked Chad Gable. I want Chad Gable to win. No, honestly, I think that. So I guess Bayley's still doing the whole heel gimmick thing.
Yeah.
I guess she's been one of the better pieces. Like I said, I really don't watch Raw or SmackDown. I can't bring myself to suffer that much. I don't like punishment that much. But I do know that Paul Heyman has put a nice focus on Sasha and Bayley since he's taken over on Raw. So I like the change in direction for Bayley's character. I think it's still too soon to take the belt off her. They have a nice thing going there. So as much as I like Lacey, and I think Lacey is underused, or at least improperly used, but not necessarily underused, but she's not used the correct way in this company, I do think Bayley retains here.
This is actually a tough call for me, because they've really been pushing Lacey a lot lately. And they've made her a face. She's this all-American mom, and her daughter's with her all the time. But I agree with Jason. I think it's too soon to put the belt on Lacey. I don't think she's quite ready yet. Bayley will retain the title.
You heard it here first. Fro thinks Lacey Evans is overrated. I will be pissed if she wins.
So that pretty much means Bayley will retain.
Yep.
In our Facebook group, it is a tie, actually. They are split on that one.
Cool.
Next match, Roman Reigns against King Corbin, Falls Count Anywhere.
This is for nothing, right?
This is for nothing.
Why don't you go first, Bill?
If they were smart, they'd make it where the loser of the match has to be number 2 and start with Brock Lesnar.
I would love that. Yes.
If they did that, then I would be voting for King Corbin. But since they're not going that way, I think Roman gets his win back. He will beat King Corbin.
This is the most useless match ever. This is stupid. They've been doing this for 15 months in a row. Here's where my anti-Raw and SmackDown bias comes out, but I can't stand this. I mean, there's much better ways to use the big dog and the big dog food and the big dog kennel and all. I'm so sick of both of these characters. I mean, they're just treading water, doing nothing over and over and over and over. This feels like it's the 90th time we've seen this match, and I don't even watch the damn show, and I feel like I've seen it too many times. So I'm actually going to go with a pretty unique pick here, and my story will make sense when we get to the other predictions. But I think King Corbin wins this match because it's going to play into future booking for what happens later in the show.
All right. Fro?
Can I vote? I don't fucking care.
Sure, we'll go with that.
I really don't care about this match. I have absolutely no interest in this match. This is going to be a boring ass match, and I can't wait to drink and eat popcorn when I watch this match at 4 o'clock in the morning in Norway. Being pissed that I have to watch this shit on my TV. But if I had to pick, I'm going to pick King Roman Reigns. How about that?
All right. Well,
I'm not going to dignify it. No, I'm going to dignify it. I'm just going to pick someone. Heads or tails, Bill?
tails.
Okay, King Corbin wins then.
All right. Most people have Roman Reigns winning that match. Next match, Raw Women's title, Becky Lynch defends against Asuka.
Aw, poor Asuka.
So I'm actually quite glad that they're doing this match because it is a callback to last year's Rumble where Asuka tapped Becky Lynch, and that also goes into my prediction of the last match with Reigns and Corbin as well. That'll make sense in a second. But yes, I think that I'm really glad they actually are using some logic and continuity here. Asuka deserves to be in major matches on major shows. Asuka is tremendously talented. This is a very, very good, intense feud. I like, again, that they're going back and finishing and tying up loose ends. Thank you, Paul Heyman. I think that Becky Lynch obviously wins here. I don't see them suddenly. Asuka was a tag team wrestler like 2 months ago. I don't see them suddenly putting her in a WrestleMania major match. Becky Lynch obviously is going to be in one of the main matches on this show as champion for whoever wins the Rumble. So I think it's going to be a really good match, much like it was last year. But this time, Becky is ready for Asuka.
I could not agree more. That's all I'm going to say.
It has to be Becky. I mean, it really does.
It has to.
I mean, this is the quote-unquote final debt that she has to collect. And it's sort of almost like a Quentin Tarantino, Kill Bill kind of way, where it's like, oh, I've beaten everybody except this one, and this is the last one. So Becky, I have Becky winning it. And most people think Becky Lynch will retain the Raw Women's title.
Yeah, but you mentioned Kill Bill, and if there was a Kill Bill situation, you would not be hosting the show anymore.
I know. I know. Our final non-Rumble match is the Universal Championship. Bray Wyatt, as The Fiend, will defend against Daniel Bryan in a strap match.
You mean the easiest pick I have ever done this week, and I don't care what you guys think whatsoever. I will bet my house on this. I don't even own the fucking house that the Fiend wins.
Yeah, I don't. I would say I don't see a reason why they would halt the momentum of Bray Wyatt right now. The Fiend is one of the most protected characters they have. They finally started pushing him the way they should have pushed Bray Wyatt 3 years ago. Yeah, I'm still bitter. But Wyatt and Bryan had a very good Rumble match, a match at the Rumble in 2014 when I was there live. It was the best match of the show. As much as I love both guys, they're two of my favorites in wrestling. I love the Fiend character. I love the whole package. I love the Tom Savini horror style thing that Wyatt's got going on. So I'm taking the Fiend here in what should be a decent match.
This is going to be an entertaining match to watch. I think the fans might be the winners of this match ultimately. But as far as what could happen and will happen, I think Bray Wyatt is going to retain the title, although I am intrigued into the story of Rambling Rabbit, saying this is his weakness. This is how you got to beat him. I'm very intrigued to see where that goes in the very near future. Everyone that voted on this one, with the exception of one person, chose Bray Wyatt to retain the Universal title. Now, we got 2 Royal Rumble matches. And because we are gentlemen, the ladies get to go first. And as of this moment, as of this recording, These are the following announced participants for the Royal Rumble: Charlotte Flair, Natalya, Alexa Bliss, Nikki Cross, and Sarah Logan.
That's a full Rumble right there.
So, as per custom, when we do this, who do you think will win? We do have the option of other. And if you select other, you have to say who it is. So who would like to go first?
Well, I'm going to cheat because I'm that asshole that wants to cheat. So I'm going to pick one from Raw, and I'm going to pick one from SmackDown, and I'm going to pick one from NXT because I'm that asshole that cheats. I think it's pretty obvious who I'm picking from SmackDown. I am definitely going to pick Sasha Banks.
Okay.
That is my lock-in for SmackDown. I think that is, if you had to force me to pick one, she would be my pick because she can go against both the champions at WrestleMania, both Bayley and Sasha Banks would make sense with Becky. So that's the reason why I'm picking Sasha. From Raw, I had actually a little more problem to be honest, because their women roster isn't that fantastic. But I guess I have to go with Charlotte Flair. I mean, she's the only woman on Raw that actually has any chance. I don't think any like Ruby Riott or Sarah Logan or Selena Vega will have any chance. So she's the only one there. From NXT, I had absolutely no problem picking because I think she will be in the Royal Rumble. I think she will be called up to the main roster. I'm picking Shayna Baszler from NXT. So that is my 3 picks.
All right, Jason.
So you just selected more people for your picks than are actually announced for the Rumble so far.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, but I mean, obviously, it seems like we've all heard the rumors of a possible surprise for the Rumble, a big return. So I'm going to pick Tim Storm's mama to be the winner of this Rumble.
That would be funny.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Yes, but I mean, we've all said Vince McMahon's pretty senile, so I wouldn't be surprised if he did go this route. But no, honestly, at this point, I mean, I feel like it's fairly obvious. It's down to, in my opinion, one of 2 surprises. It's not going to be one of the 5 competitors they actually bothered to freaking announce for this match.
No.
So I think at this point it's down to 2 potential surprises, both in the same camp. They are women, they are horses, they are horsewomen. I think that both of them are pretty obvious choices. One of which Fro said, Shayna Baszler, just lost the title in NXT after a long, long reign. She did all she could possibly do there. We're going to be seeing her called up very, very soon. And the other is my pick to actually win this match, Ronda Rousey. I think that's a pretty obvious choice, but I think that she's been gone for a long time. She's been working on family stuff. She had time off that she wanted, and the story is still being told that she only lost 1 match in her long run last year. She still owed a rematch from losing the championship, and Becky Lynch pinned her in questionable circumstances with the roll up and the shoulder being up and all that. So a Ronda Rousey Becky Lynch match is still in the cards for us, and I think that's the best way to get it. So I think Ronda wins here.
If she was on the roster, I would pick her as the winner as well.
Just to go a little off topic, but not really. If you guys want to look for any interesting videos this week, I haven't watched it, but I do know of it. May I recommend Steve-O from Jackass giving marriage advice to Ronda Rousey? That is a real video.
Jesus Christ.
Yes, that is a real video. Okay. But back to this match. I think if you're going by who you think would win, the first name is Charlotte. I do believe.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, with Charlotte, she does not need to win the Rumble.
No.
By
No,
all
she doesn't.
means, she does not need it. I believe it is going to be somebody else that was not mentioned in the 5. I am going to agree with Fro. I'm going to say Shayna Baszler wins the Royal Rumble because Shayna won the main event at Survivor Series, but she pinned Bayley, not Becky Lynch, and she'll get her match with Becky. Now, in our Facebook group, most people have Charlotte Flair winning it, but other people are going with the other option. So it's going to be very interesting. Now, on to the final one, the men's Royal Rumble match, where for the 29 guys, if they win it, it's probably guaranteed a title shot at WrestleMania. For the one person that isn't one that... Okay, best way to describe it. If the guy who's coming in at number 1 wins, he's not defending the title at WrestleMania. It was said Monday night. So we know what, will happen there. So, here is, as of the recording of this episode, the roster we have for the Rumble. Brock Lesnar, we know, is going in at number 1. We have Roman Reigns, King Corbin, Dolph Ziggler, Shinsuke Nakamura, Braun Strowman, Kofi Kingston, Big E, Eric Rowan, AJ Styles, Randy Orton, Elias, Rey Mysterio, Ricochet, Drew McIntyre, Otis, Tucker, Rusev, Bobby Lashley, Aleister Black, Buddy Murphy, Seth Rollins, Kevin Owens, Samoa Joe, and we're still questionable on R-Truth because he did declare at first, but then he undeclared, so we're not really sure if R-Truth is in the match or not. Now, before I let you guys make your picks, I want to bring up a very interesting stat for this Rumble. This particular one. This Royal Rumble match is going to have more winners in one Royal Rumble, more winners going into it than any other in history. We have Brock Lesnar, who has won a Rumble. Roman Reigns has won a Rumble. Shinsuke Nakamura has won a Rumble. Randy Orton has won 2 Rumbles. Rey Mysterio has won a Rumble. And Seth Rollins won last year's Rumble. And you could also count Braun Strowman, who won the greatest Royal Rumble. So there's 7 guys who are in there that have won a Royal Rumble match. So with that being said, who do you have winning the men's Rumble match?
Well, like I said, I'm going to cheat sheet. I'm going to start with NXT. Since Velveteen Dream is out of action still, I will not pick him, or he would be my pick for NXT. But I'm pretty much going to surprise people and say that Bronson Reed is my pick from NXT. Yes, you all know Bronson Reed from NXT, right?
Sure, that guy.
Crickets!
Wow.
Crickets! So that is my pick from NXT. Wow, indeed. Then I'm...
All right, who do you guys think will win the men's Royal Rumble match, Fro?
Yeah, again, I will cheat because I'm a cheater. Since my man Velveteen Dream is out of action still, I will pick everybody's favorite on NXT that everybody has heard of, Bronson Reed. Cricket. Yeah. Nobody has heard of Bronson Reed? Cricket. No, okay. He's big. From SmackDown, I will pick my man, my big man, my biggest man crush of all man crushes, Braun Strowman. And lastly, I will pick Brock, fuck you, I'm going to win Lesnar. That is his real name, and I'm going to be super pissed when he wins. I'm going to be super, super pissed when he wins. I'm going to probably say, oh, I'm not going to watch WrestleMania because he won, and I will still watch WrestleMania.
All right.
Well, Phil, I've got to say, I need you to complete your bout of selections here. I need to know who your 205 Live pick for the Rumble is. and then go
Angel Garcia. How about that?
Yes, Angel Garcia sounds great. But I think that my biggest surprise pick has a better chance of winning than Bronson Reed does, and that is the guy that's currently in the news right now. A guy that the Vince McMahon's always topical. They always try to go with people that are popular in the news and have headlines right now. So obviously, the big surprise that none of us would expect to be Pat Patterson.
Oh God.
So
I was so hoping you were going to say somebody else that has an MMA career that's also.
I was about ready for him to say Tyson Fury because Fury says he wants a match with Brock Lesnar, but he's training for a big title fight that's happening next month.
Yeah.
All right.
So, I mean, to give an actual pick here, because obviously my money is not on Pat Patterson. I would be as senile as Vince if I chose that. But so I'm not going to make that choice. I do think Pat Patterson's got more of a chance than Bronson Reed does. But with all that. Yeah, with all that being said, I'm going to take what I consider to be a very obvious choice. I'm going to tell you guys the person I think is going to win, and then I will tell you the person they should make win this match because they don't know how to book right. But I think what's going to happen is, which refers back to my prediction earlier, I think King Corbin wins the match against Roman Reigns one-on-one earlier in the night because the big dog, Roman Reigns, is going to win his second Royal Rumble?
Second Rumble.
Second Rumble. It's going to be his fourth time or fifth time in the final two of the Rumble already in his short career.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think what happens here is Roman Reigns gets the win, and then they can continue the storyline. If you guys want to hear this, continue the storyline with Corbin and Reigns because Corbin gets the big win, and then Reigns is not affected by it because he wins the Rumble. So then Corbin has a reason to say, well, I beat you earlier in the night, so rightfully I'm the number one contender. So they can do Corbin and Reigns again next month before Mania and have Reigns put a shot on the line, so they have something for Reigns to do. So Corbin wins the match, Reigns wins the Rumble, and then Reigns beats Corbin to go to WrestleMania to challenge The Fiend, and then whoever eliminates Brock Lesnar winds up facing Lesnar for the other belt. So it's Reigns against The Fiend being the Rumble winner, and then Lesnar against the person that throws him out, which I think very well could be Cain Velasquez. And let me tell you, I'm not terribly interested in seeing either of those matches. What they should do, what they won't do but should do, is make a new star here who's deserved to be a star for a long time, somebody who's got intensity and size and believability and mic skills and, good intense heel character, and somebody who could give Brock a really good match here, and that is Drew McIntyre.
All right.
You're making too much sense. I hate that you're making too much sense. I hate that you're right here because I'm after that pick, I'm going to change my pick from Brock Lesnar to Roman Reigns. I'm going to do a throw and fucking change my mind because that makes too much sense.
Guys.
Sadly, it's predictable.
Guys, you're both wrong. You're both wrong. There's only one logical winner for the Royal Rumble match. And he only comes once a year around this time, and I think he's going to finally get the push that he deserves. The WrestleMania squirrel is going to win the Royal Rumble and go to WrestleMania and win the WWE title. No, I'm sorry. I had to do that for Brian because I haven't seen him in a while. Okay. What it comes down to for me is this. I have to think back, and I know this is hard for some people, the last 3 episodes of Raw. And this is how I'm going to break it down. The first Raw of the new year, Paul Heyman announces Brock Lesnar coming in at number 1, and he does it's not a guarantee, it's a spoiler shtick. Then, the following week, after Brock beats up R-Truth because R-Truth doesn't want to go to Sioux Falls City, JR is like, oh, I think I'm gonna change my pick. Brock Lesnar's gonna win the Rumble. And then this Monday night, he low blows Ricochet, going, I ain't afraid. So to me, that's right there yelling at me, Lesnar's not gonna win. He's not gonna win. Roman Reigns is a good pick, but I don't see him winning it. I think you can get him to the Universal title match in another way. He doesn't need to win a second Rumble. The guy that should win it, and the guy who will win it, is going to be whoever eliminates Brock Lesnar. That's, to me, who it should be. But, since this is a podcast and we have to make picks, I am picking Drew McIntyre to win the Rumble. It's his time. Vince likes him. Paul likes him. I think it is time for Drew to finally get the championship match he rightfully deserves.
I hope so.
And on our Facebook group, because I just put my vote in, we have a tie between Roman Reigns and Drew McIntyre as to who will win the Rumble. One person voted for Brock Lesnar to win. One person went with other. And the person that went with other said CM Punk is going to win. I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility. It's not. It really isn't, bro.
No, it isn't. But it is. But it is. Yeah, no,
I know.
It's not coming back.
I know. So I want to drop some knowledge for all you guys, because Sunday is the Royal Rumble, and I am a stats guy. I love stats. So when you go to your Royal Rumble party this Sunday night, you can be the coolest kid in your party by knowing these stats that, some people know, some don't. The average position for the winner of the Men's Royal Rumble has been number 20, which surprisingly has not won a Royal Rumble match. The average position for the Women's Royal Rumble match is 27, which has not happened yet. Daniel Bryan holds the men's longevity record at 76 minutes 5 seconds. Natalya holds the women's longevity record at 56 minutes 1 second. Kane is the all-time total eliminations leader at 44. However, Braun Strowman is at 30. Roman Reigns is at 30. Randy Orton is at 26. So those three can slowly catch up to the record holder after Sunday. And for the women, Nia Jax holds the current record at 7, with 4 women tied at 5, 3 with 4, and 4 with 3. If you can scramble all those and figure that out. But those are some stats to know of heading into this Sunday's Royal Rumble event. Well, on that note, that's going to do it for us for this week. But before we go, let's get into the plugs. If you guys have any questions or comments, send an email, wrestlingman@thewrestlingshow.com. Follow the show on Twitter at WrestlingShow11. Follow the show on Instagram. We have Instagram now. It is That Wrestling Show. Join our Facebook group. Type in That Wrestling Show fan group, and you're right there. And if you can't find it, it's okay. I post the link in the description box of each episode. And visit the website, thatwrestlingshow.com. Fro, what did you guys discuss on Another Digital Citizen this week?
We talked about movies written by AI. Conspiracy, the conspiracy that people think that some manuscripts for movies have been written by AI.
Very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Jason, this is your time to plug. I know you got a lot of stuff going on as of late, so why don't you update us?
I do. I've always got a lot of stuff going on. I'm the man that never sleeps. I've currently right now, if you're in the Pittsburgh area, coming up on March 20th, March 20th of this year. If you're in or around the Pittsburgh area, or you'd like to travel and check out independent films, my latest film, Grave Encounters, that I wrote, directed, produced, and acted in, is debuting at the Parkway Theater in McKees Rocks in this area. So again, if you guys would like to come in, it's only $5 to come and check out my newest movie. I will be off screen and on screen this night. And we'll also be doing some raffles. We'll be doing a question and answer with the cast and crew. There will be food and beer. I'll be supplying some snacks. It's going to be a whole fun local film event. So if you guys are in the area or interested in my next movie, Grave Encounters, please check it out. My last two films have won awards. So you'll be checking out something that'll be going into Los Angeles and New York in the coming months to be in the national film circuit. Also, my last film, Limbo Cafe, that I wrote, directed, and produced, is also making the rounds in Los Angeles and New York, and has won several awards here in the local Pittsburgh area. That should be coming to my YouTube channel publicly probably in the next couple of weeks. So if you guys want to follow me on YouTube, not only do I do film reviews, wrestling reviews and previews for different wrestling shows, but also release my different movies and poetry and things like that on the channel. You can get all different kinds of art. My YouTube channel is Styles Clash #4 Life. That's Styles Clash, like it sounds, #4 Life, Life. That is my YouTube channel. I'm also doing two different websites right now. One is called pophorror.com, POPHORROR, Pop Horror. That is where I review a bunch of different new independent horror films. I review films that are currently in the indie scene, that are currently coming out, that are throwbacks. I do all kinds of movies there. And I also do every Wednesday night, I also do a AEW Dynamite weekly show review where I break down every match and every segment of the show and give my personal take on the angles, characters, and stories of AEW Dynamite, and that is for ProWrestlingJournal.com. One word, ProWrestlingJournal.com. And if you guys want to follow me on Twitter to keep up with all my craziness in between, all my self-help blogs, my poetry, my movies, books, films, journalism, it is all available. Links are all posted there as well. If you guys want a one-stop shop for me and all the stuff that I'm doing, that is at JBurke, JAYBURKE, at JBurke on Twitter.
There you go. Let's plug some podcasts that we like. Our Vantage Point, the Retro Wrestling Podcast with Joe Murata and Michael Quinn. They take you through the world of retro wrestling as only they can. They started up a brand new season this week, and they got some interesting topics to discuss. They discuss influential matches, wrestlers, anything. And this week they start with TLC The Match. Also, week 1 of the Royal Rankings of Best Managers of All Time. Plus, they review an episode of WWF Mania from New Year's Eve 1994. I have actually seen that episode. It is a little bit weird. So check out our Vantage Point, the Retro Wrestling Podcast. Also check out the Wrestling Podcast About Nothing with former referee Mike Crockett, Chaotic Wrestling owner Brian Fury, and Ring of Honor star Brian Malonis as they talk about the world of professional wrestling for people who have been in the business. This week, they discuss things that they would like to see come back into professional wrestling. So I'm going to ask you guys, name one thing you would like to see back in professional wrestling.
Storytelling.
There you go. Fro?
Yep. Storytelling.
I would like to see...
Good answer.
I would like to see music played, or, music from artists used again in wrestling. That is missing. I know It's all the, royalties and crap, but I missed that. Those were the good days. So check out the wrestling podcast about nothing. And if you're looking for a podcast hosted by one individual, may I recommend Greetings from Allentown with PW Peter Winson. He watches one episode of professional wrestling each week in his own unique way. This week, he discusses an episode of WWF All-Star Wrestling from April 14th, 1984. So that is Greetings from Allentown. And if you are looking for non-wrestling related podcasts, I recommend Unspooled with Paul and Amy, where they watch each movie on AFI's list of the 100 greatest movies of all time, the 2007 edition. This week, they discuss the 1969 Western, The Wild Bunch. So check that out. Also check out Shark's Pond, a South Park podcast where I review each and every South Park episode in order. This week, I review the Season 8 halfway point episode, Goobacks. Yes, Goobacks. That is the episode where they took their job.
Great episode.
And because it is Royal Rumble weekend, please check out Eliminated, a Royal Rumble podcast where Jim Boy Star and I, we have discussed up to this point almost every Royal Rumble match that has taken place. Some fun ones that we've bitterly gone through. All in all, very entertaining. If you're looking for a podcast to get you ready for this Sunday's Royal Rumble, check out Eliminated, a Royal Rumble podcast. Next week on the show, actually, real quick, want to plug Joseph McDade. We use his music for the theme song for this show. Check out his website, josephmcdade.com. He has free music that you could use for podcasts, YouTube videos, indie movies, video games, basically anything, you name it. The only thing that he asks is if you credit him. That's all he asks for, and we're crediting him right now. Next week, we're going to review the shows that we have previewed here today. Plus, we're bringing Fro the Norwegian in because he is going to make his Super Bowl 54 prediction next week between the San Francisco 49ers and the Kansas City Chiefs. Cannot wait for Fro's predictions on that.
My prediction is going to be, no, you have to wait for next week.
There you go. Everybody, have a good, safe weekend. Have fun. If you're going to the Royal Rumble this Sunday, have a blast. I think it's going to be a good event. And when you're done surviving 29 other combatants, come back here next week for another episode of That Wrestling Show, the podcast where all pro wrestling matters. And as always,
I am Elmo, and I love you all.
Oh, dear God. Wrestle on.